What distinguishes a war crime from a terrorism charge? Imagine witnessing acts of violence that shake the very foundation of human rights. Some of these acts happen during wars, while others occur in peacetime. But what makes a violation a war crime and not just terrorism? That's what we're here to find out. A war crime is a serious breach of international humanitarian law, which is the set of rules that govern conduct during armed conflicts. These laws are mainly outlined in the Geneva Conventions and their additional protocols. War crimes include acts like intentionally attacking civilians, torturing prisoners, taking hostages, or using banned weapons. These acts happen during armed conflicts and violate protections meant to keep civilians and soldiers safe. On the other hand, terrorism involves violence or threats aimed at creating fear among civilians or forcing governments to act. Terrorism can happen in times of peace or war, but it is not necessarily linked to an armed conflict. It is usually prosecuted under domestic criminal law or international counterterrorism treaties, which don't have the same detailed rules as international humanitarian law. One key difference is the context of the act. War crimes happen during armed conflicts and break rules about how wars should be fought. Terrorism can happen anytime, anywhere, and is not tied to a specific conflict. The legal frameworks also differ. War crimes are violations of the Geneva Conventions and related laws that protect people during war. Terrorism is mainly addressed by criminal laws that focus on acts meant to spread terror and influence political or religious goals. Another difference is the target and intent behind the acts. War crimes often involve attacking civilians or prisoners of, or unlawfully breaching protections under international law. Terrorism aims to scare or intimidate a population or government, often through indiscriminate violence or threats. It's about creating fear to achieve political or ideological aims. Sometimes, acts can blur the lines. For example, deliberately attacking civilians during a conflict might be both a war crime and a terrorist act. But under international law, if such acts happen during an armed conflict, they are primarily considered war crimes. While some acts of terrorism may be prosecuted as war crimes if they happen in the context of a conflict, there is no universal agreement that terrorism itself is a war crime. The protections for civilians are also different. The Geneva Conventions provide detailed rules to protect non-combatants during war, and violations are prosecuted as war crimes. Counterterrorism laws focus more on preventing acts that cause terror but don't have the same specific protections or rules. In summary, the main difference lies in the setting and legal framework. War crimes happen during armed conflicts and violate laws designed to limit suffering in war. Terrorism involves violence aimed at spreading fear and can happen outside of conflicts. Understanding these differences helps ensure that violations are prosecuted under the right laws and that justice is served appropriately.